So as promised, this is a little extra video on how I went about making the floorboards for those that are a bit more interested in the technical, how it was done. As you know from the previous videos, we'd bought a quantity of Scottish larch from the sawmills, and I went about choosing the best boards that I had in that pile to make these floorboards. Unfortunately, I don't have a thickness of planer, as I would very much have liked to run the boards through a thickness of planer and get the edges really straight and uniform before I put them together. But unfortunately, I don't have one. So if anyone's got one out there that they're not using, or lying in their garage or shed not doing much, and they want to get rid of it, get in touch with me. Once I was happy that all the boards lined up well, all the mating surfaces were as tight as I could get them, I then started to mark where all the cuts would go for the biscuits to insert into the edges. So that's the next process. So I placed the biscuits on the edges where I thought they would be best situated, and then I marked those joints, those points, so that I could then cut the inserts with the router. I set up the router with the biscuit jointing bit that I've had for many years, and using the guide started cutting each joint. Initially, I think I cut the two joints too close to the top face of the board, as you can see there. So I had to readjust the router and then start again pretty much. And the second time I got the depth quite right, and things went smoothly thereafter. So I used standard resin and hardener to glue the planks together and to saturate the biscuits with. You see me there mixing epoxy, which is one of the key things that you must do when mixing epoxy resin and hardener. Experts will tell you stir it for at least 100 turns each time you mix them. So I spent quite a bit of time getting the epoxy ready before I applied it to each plank in turn. So it was a long, slow process getting the boards all glued together. I mixed epoxy up in very small quantities, just enough to glue each board together and to soak the biscuits. I've had experience of mixing too much at one go in the past, and it goes off on you, and can do so quite quickly. But this time it was quite cool in the garage, so didn't have too much problem with that. I took my time, put them all together, long slow process, but eventually got all the boards glued together. So that's the boards put together. Gave me a bit of a song and dance. But that's it, all biscuit jointed together. It now needs to sit in the epoxy. Once the boards were all glued together, I put some bracing on the back of it because I wanted to move them out of there into the house to dry off in the heat, and just waited